Jody Avirgan here. I'm glad you're enjoying 30 for 30 podcast, part of a special collection of sports audio documentaries from ESPN Films. We're finding the best sports stories for you right now. And to do that, we're behind the wheel of the Mini Countryman, the biggest mini yet.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
To find great sports stories, you have to get out into the world and follow your instincts. That's where the Mini Countryman's all-wheel drive comes in handy. With all four, we can chase down a story in the city, the country, and most places in between. Podcast equipment isn't very bulky, but even if we're hauling a lot of gear, there's plenty of cargo space for all your stuff. And if a few of our producers tag along, no problem. The Mini Countryman comfortably seats 5 adults. The Countryman may be big, but it still drives like a Mini thanks to the twin-power turbo engine. No matter what story you're chasing, the Mini Countryman will help you find it. It's available now, and so are 30 for 30 podcasts. Visit miniusa.com/countryman today.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Here with you for the next hour over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80. We'll get back to the calls in just a few minutes on Eli Manning, on to my comments about the NFL. And willingness to donate about $100 million to worthy causes affecting the African-American community in a positive way. All of that and more we'll get into a little bit later on. But for now, we'll go back to a special guest on the show. He hosts morning show, co-hosts a morning show, 98.7 FM right here on ESPN Radio. He also former defensive end for the New York Giants, Super Bowl champion with the New York Giants. My buddy, the one and only Chris Canty's on the line with us right now. What's going on, big time? How are you, man?
I'm good, Steve. Thanks for having me on your show.
Your thoughts when you initially heard the news that Eli Manning was being benched?
I was disappointed, Steve. I didn't think that the New York Giants, in particular ownership, John Mara and Steve Tisch, would handle Eli Manning this way at the end of his career. And to bench him in favor of Geno Smith and or Davis Webb just doesn't make sense to me. Not at this point. Eli clearly wants to remain the starter for this team because he feels like he gives the other 52 guys in that locker room the best chance to win ball games. He still wants to go out there and compete. And I think that the organization owes it to him to afford him the opportunity to finish out this season as a starter for the New York Giants. If they want to do something different in the offseason, they want to go another direction, they can do that then. But right now, to make this decision just doesn't feel right.
Would you feel any differently if they sat up there and they said, look, Davis Webb, here's what we want to go in this direction with Davis Webb because he's out of college, he's our third string backup quarterback. We want to see what he has. We're not going to win any games this year. Really, we're trying to get a high draft pick. We're also in a situation where we're not going to the playoffs. Would you have had any problem had they taken that position as opposed to inserting Geno Smith as the starter?
No, I still would have had an issue with this, Steve, and here's why. I don't know what you're realistically expecting to see from Davis Webb. He hasn't been getting starters reps. He hasn't even been getting backups reps. He's been running the scout team for the opposing team's offense against the Giants' first-string defense. So I don't know how much he's progressed, how much he's developed over the course of the season. I don't know what we're going to see from Davis Webb, and I think that's why the Giants are making the decision to go with Geno Smith and start him this Sunday in Oakland. I don't know what to expect from Davis Webb, and to say that you're going to be a part of an offense that's averaging 15 points a game, that's going to be without some key pieces, I don't know if this kid is going to be in a position to really be successful. So I don't understand what fans are expecting to see from Davis Webb. So I don't think it's you need to have a sense of urgency to put Davis Webb in as your starting quarterback. I just don't see that.
Knowing Eli Manning, your former teammate who helped you capture a Super Bowl championship, knowing him the way that you do, seeing his facial expression, hearing the tone in his voice yesterday upon learning that he would not be starting, it's one thing for us to talk about what we saw. What did you see?
Well, I saw somebody that was hurt. An organization which he has tried to represent with class, with dignity, uphold the standard of excellence on and off the field. I felt like he sees it as the organization betraying him and his sacrifices, everything that he's done for this team and the effort that he put in to try to uphold that said standard, what it means to be a Giant. And so I think he was disappointed. You saw him in his locker. He was near tears because in Eli Manning's mind, he probably was thinking that he was going to finish his career as a New York Giant. He was going to remain the starting quarterback for as long as he wanted that opportunity. That's why he had the no-trade clause put into his contract extension a couple of years ago. But the fact that the organization decided to bench him at this point in the season, it feels like they're trying to blame him for what's going on in this team's 2-9 start. I'm not going to sit here and completely try to absolve Eli Manning of any responsibility with this season, but this is not Eli Manning's fault. The Giants just fell apart, and to me, the criticism should lie with Ben McAdoo and with Jerry Reese.
When you say it should lie with them, be specific as to why you feel that way. We say stuff like running game, offensive line, decimated the wide receiver spot, even though that's primarily due to injury. What exactly and specifically are you talking about when you point the finger in their direction?
Well, I mean, you got to surround Eli Manning with the right supporting cast. So the offensive tackle tandem of Eric Flowers and Bobby Hart, it wasn't good enough in 2016. They allowed the second most hits, hurries, and sacks of any tackle tandem in the National Football League last year. And so why would you double down on that offensive line, those offensive tackles, when clearly it wasn't good enough for Eli Manning to be at his best? Your offense didn't score a lot of points last year, only averaged 19 points a game. This year it's 15 points a game, so it got worse. I don't understand why you didn't address it in free agency this year when you could have went out and signed Andrew Whitworth for the money that you put in Brandon Marshall and Rhett Ellison, when you could have went out and pursued a Riley Reif that he signed in Minnesota. Looking at the impact that those two signings had with those respective teams, you can't tell me it doesn't make a difference in signing a left tackle and what that does in terms of fixing your offensive line. So the fact that you don't have a mobile quarterback, you would think that if this is your quarterback, you would try to put an offensive line in front of him that could pass protect or that could run block and give the offense some balance. But they didn't do that. So that blame has to lie with Jerry Reese.
Yeah, so that's where I was going, because that's a personnel issue. What about the coaching issue? Specifically, how can you highlight the inefficiency or ineffectiveness of Ben McAdoo?
Well, here's the thing. Openly criticizing Eli Manning, even before this season started, when the offseason started, saying that Eli Manning needed to perform better in a muddy pocket, saying that Eli Manning needed to be better in that goal-to-go situation against the Detroit Lions where you had the delay of game. Talking about Eli Manning and criticizing him publicly when you don't want to hold anybody else accountable, I have an issue with that. When the owner, John Mara, has to come out and say that he's embarrassed for Odell Beckham Jr.'s antics in that celebration that he had in the Philadelphia Eagles loss early in the season,
yes,
not having your head coach respond and discipline that player in some way, shape, form, or fashion is unacceptable. But you're going to come out and you're going to criticize the consummate professional in Eli Manning? That doesn't feel right to me. Like, you're not going to attack the other guys? How about Eli Apple on the 3rd and 33 screen pass to Robert Woods that went for a touchdown? Did you see him on that play, Stephen A?
Yes, I did.
He didn't even run to the ball. He gave a half-hearted attempt to tackle Robert Woods. He didn't even run to the ball. That's unacceptable, but your head coach is choosing to hold Eli Manning accountable, and it doesn't feel like he's willing to hold anybody else accountable. And in my book, that's unacceptable, because Eli Manning is the guy that's trying to uphold the standard of what it means to be a Giant.
I think anybody with sense knows that Jerry Reese and Ben McAdoo, they're done. It's over in New York. It'll be over by the end of this season. I think Boo Boo the Fool can see that. But my question to you is this. Did you see an Eli Manning that would be willing to and desiring to stay a New York Giant even in the event that they departed? Or did you see a guy yesterday that basically said, this is it for me, I'm out of here?
To me, I saw a guy that said, this is it. And here's why I say that. When the reporters pressed him on the question, they asked him about his future, he didn't dismiss that fact. He just didn't want to address the question. And when I'm looking at this decision to bench Eli Manning, it goes beyond Ben McAdoo and Jerry Reese. This is something that ownership had to sign off on in order for this to happen. And so to me, I think that puts the relationship between Eli and ownership in a space where it's potentially irreparable. So if I'm looking at this, Eli Manning wanted to remain with the Giants. For them to treat him like this, I think he feels betrayed in a sense, and he's probably going to want to move on and go elsewhere.
It's interesting that you say that, because he did say, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, he did say the coach spoke to him, right, Chris Canty? He said the coach informed him of this news, right?
Yeah, the coach informed him of it, and the coach offered him the option to continue to start. And at some point in that game, probably at halftime, they were going to bench Eli Manning and bring in Geno Smith or Davis Webb. And Eli said that didn't make sense, because if you're preparing and you're going to be in the game, you want the ability to be able to win the game. And to be able to pull him out just didn't make sense.
Exactly, and I totally agree with him that. That part I knew. Where I was going was this. How is it that the coach spoke to him? This is a guy that started 210 consecutive games, ain't missed a start in over a decade, has been the face of the New York Giants franchise for years. These are supposed to be one of the few standard bearers in all of sports in terms of how they conduct business. How is it that Mr. Tisch, Mr. Mara, Mr. Reese, none of them addressed Eli Manning? They left it to Ben McAdoo, who's lucky to be employed by this organization. How'd that happen?
I don't know, Steve, and you bring up a good point. I don't know how ownership allows Ben McAdoo to be the face of this decision. This needs to be an ownership decision, and you would expect to be able to hear from one of the owners, if not both of them, if they talked about the situation with Ben McAdoo and his job security, or Jerry Reese and their job security, and they released a joint statement saying that they would reserve any commentary or any decision until the end of the season. Why couldn't they come out and release a statement saying why they decided to move from Eli Manning being the starting quarterback in favor of Geno Smith or Davis Webb? That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't sit right with me.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening not just to the former defensive end, Super Bowl champion defensive end for the New York Giants, but you're listening to an outstanding radio host for 98.7 FM in New York City, the one and only Chris Canty. You will be hearing a lot from him in the near future, one of the best NFL analysts and radio hosts in the business right now. Congratulations on your success, my brother. I appreciate it all, and thank you for coming on the show.
I appreciate it, Steve. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. The one and only Chris Canty right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio, 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. Back to your calls and more in a minute. Plus Lonzo Ball and the Lakers going up against the reigning, defending NBA champions. How much mercy should the Golden State Warriors have on Lonzo Ball tonight? And how much mercy do you think they will have? All that and more coming up next as you're listening live to Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Give Stephen A. piece of your mind.
He is sorry.
Call him weekdays from 1 till 3 Eastern.
I mean, just trash.
At 866-729-3776.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm so happy, I feel like I can fly.
Disclaimer, you will not be able to fly by switching to Geico. This is against the laws of physics and nature. If you find yourself flying, please seek professional and or medical help immediately. In the unlikely event you find yourself flying, you might be a superhero, or a pigeon, or a superhero named Pidgewoman, who was bitten by a radioactive pigeon. If you are indeed Pidgewoman, Geico retains all licensing publishing rights in the event Pidgewoman the movie becomes a top-grossing Hollywood blockbuster.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Phones we go right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's get right to it at 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. Oh, let me stop. I apologize. I don't want to get right to it. Instead, I want to bring up something else before I forget. And that is the fact that I'm going to say a prayer tonight for Lonzo Ball. The reigning, defending NBA champions are coming to town with one of the top 3 players in the world in Kevin Durant, and unquestionably the greatest shooter that I have ever seen in NBA history in Steph Curry. There is a man by the name of LeVar Ball, who is the father of Lonzo Ball of the Los Angeles Lakers, who made a national name for himself in large part by proclaiming his son was better than Steph Curry while this kid was in college at UCLA. He said this last year. He talked about how his son would beat Steph Curry one-on-one. He talked about how the Warriors would be better if Lonzo was their point guard instead of Steph. He said a lot of different things. Steph Curry has never played against Lonzo Ball. Tonight will mark the first time. Now, I don't know if we have sound on that new Kevin Durant speaking, Steph Curry speaking, and Steph Curry like, look at me when I was my first 20 games in the NBA, and Kevin Durant saying, you know what, he's a young kid, only 19, and, he's feeling himself in the NBA, and, most of us at that age played that way. Well, what I would say to you is history and statistics show otherwise. In the first 20 games of Lonzo Ball's career, he's the worst shooter in the last 30 years. 30% from the field, 23% from three-point range. It's been awful. Historically, over the last 30 years, there has been no one this bad in their first 20 games. Now, I personally am rooting for Lonzo. I wish him nothing but the best. I have no doubt that Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and all of those dudes will wrap their arms around this kid and whisper words of encouragement. I've seen it all. And their class personified, and I have no doubt that they will come to the aid of him pre-game, post-game. What about during the game? What do you think's going to happen? It would not surprise me at all if the Golden State Warriors blew the Lakers out while in the same breath taking it light on Lonzo. Like if Steph Curry is eating them up and the Warriors are eating them up, I could see Steph Curry giving up the ball to Durant. I could see others victimizing the rest of the Lakers as opposed to them zeroing him in on him the way that Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen zeroed in on Tony Kukoc during the Olympics in 92. I could see that because that's how they are. Now, had this been months ago, I think Curry would have ate him alive. But because of the vitriol this kid has taken, because of the fact that his personality, his demeanor, his character is so good. He's such a good kid. And clearly has been victimized by his father's mouth. I actually think the Golden State Warriors are going to take it light on him. They'll abuse the Lakers. Even though I must admit, I've been impressed with some of the things I've seen from the Lakers. Brandon Ingram is improving. And Kuzma, I love him. But they might take it light on Lonzo Ball because he's such a nice guy. Don't be surprised by that. Don't be surprised by that at all. Before I go to the phones, here's both Steph Curry first, then Kevin Durant, speaking about the Lakers rookie and number 2 overall pick made by Magic Johnson this past June. Listen up.
Man, he's a rookie. He's going through the ups and downs like every rookie has, whether you're highly touted or not. It's all a learning experience and trying to find your way and be comfortable. So, yeah, that's basically my perception is he's working through that. And I've always said I know he's a great talent. I think he loves to play basketball, so he'll be able to fight through all that and have a great career. But I hope you didn't judge me off my first 20 games in the league either.
They're a young team. They're getting better every day. They're getting better every game. They're learning how to win. And, Lonzo is just playing like a rookie as far as learning the game, finding the ins and outs of the game and slowing down for him and picking and choosing his spots. And he's still figuring it out. And that's what, is he 19? That's what any 19-year-old will go through in the pros. So just a matter of him being in LA, so much eyes and scrutiny on him. But he's playing like he should play as far as, learning the game and adjusting on the floor.
That's a lie. He's not playing the game like he should. Lonzo Ball is incredibly passive. He is perfectly content with passing the ball and running around without it and not being aggressive offensively. I'm not talking about his game because I have faith in the kid. But it's gotten to a point where it's not about us believing in him. He needs to believe in him more, and he needs to be more aggressive and more assertive. That's not what any 19-year-old does, feeling his way and trying to figure it out. They try to seize opportunities. Sometimes they fail miserably, and we get that. But they strive to seize the opportunity. That doesn't appear to be what he's doing. And that's the problem. That's the part of the problem. Mike in California, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Man, pleasure talking to you again.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just got to talk about the NBA rookies because the high level of talent that these young kids have is just can't go unnoticed. But, anyway, my question, Ben Simmons, I think Ben Simmons is a clear front runner for Rookie of the Year.
Well, stop right there. Nobody disputes that. Here's the issue with Ben Simmons. The question with Ben Simmons is not that whether or not he deserves Rookie of the Year because of his talent and what he's doing on the court. People question whether he deserves it or not because even though he didn't play last year, their mentality is he got drafted a class earlier. And as a result, Even though he never stepped on the floor, he received an NBA paycheck and he was exposed to practices with the team and all of this other stuff. And as a result, he shouldn't be judged as a rookie while others could. I don't agree with that. As far as I'm concerned, he never played an NBA game last year. This is the year he played an NBA game for the first time. I think he's a rookie. But go ahead.
Well, wasn't that the argument with Joel Embiid? Wasn't he a finalist last year for Rookie of the Year?
Yeah. That was an argument that people used. My argument was that he didn't play enough games.
Right. Anyway, I just wanted to ask you who you think your next three finalists are, like after him, like the next three.
Haven't really paid attention to it. I can't give you an educated answer about that. I like what I have seen from Dennis Smith Jr. I really like this kid, Donovan Mitchell, out of Utah. Haven't seen much of Malik Monk in Chicago, but when I saw him, I liked him. I liked Markkanen in Chicago as well. I meant Malik Monk in Charlotte, but I like Markkanen in Chicago as well. But I got to keep my eyes on more of that. It's hard for me to say. I would say Jason Tatum, though. That would come to my mind.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you. Let's go to Van in Queens. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
What's up, Stephen A., man? Thank you for the call. I just want to get on Eli Manning real quick. I wanted to defend him, if it's possible. You had a caller talk about what Eli did in 6 years. My question is, what has Jerry Reese done in 6 years? Because 6 years ago, we had probably the best offensive line in the game. Prior to that, we had 2,000-yard rushes to help Eli Manning. So what do we have? What does he have now? You know what I mean?
Well, I know what you mean. The problem is you're whistling into the wind. People don't bring up Jerry Reese anymore because we assume he's gone because of how putrid the offensive line and the running game has been.
Exactly, and that's the thing. This is a guy. This is the reason I defend Eli, is because there's one thing you can say about him that's undeniable, uncategorical. If this guy has the parts, he can take you over the mountain. Not to the mountaintop, over the mountain. He's done it twice. He's made me a believer. You understand what I'm saying? And if I may, on Lonzo Ball, I'm going to just say like this. If I can make a suggestion to the young man, when this season's off, when it's over in the off season, he really needs to work out with James Harden and learn how to draw fouls. That, I believe, will help him.
You can say that all you want. You can say that all you want to, man. The brother got to shoot better. He got to shoot better. I don't give a damn what anybody says. That's the real problem, Van. He's got to shoot better. But I appreciate the call. 866-729-3776, 866-SAY-ESPN. Back with your calls in a minute. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
I'd be remiss in neglecting to bring up this issue right here. It was announced today by the president of ESPN that approximately 150 employees would be let go. The statement reads, today we are informing approximately 150 people at ESPN that their jobs are being eliminated. It circulated in the news and throughout social media. It's the only reason I'm commenting on it. Says here from John Skipper, we appreciate their contributions. We'll assist them as much as possible in a difficult moment with severance, a 2017 bonus, the continuation of health benefits, and outplacement services. They will also appreciate your support. Make no mistake, they have it. All of us who work with people, befriend people, don't befriend everybody we work with, but we befriend folks. And anybody with a soul doesn't wish for something like this to happen to anybody. Business decisions are made every day. This is above our pay grade. We don't know the intricacies that surround decisions like this being made, although we may think we do from time to time. But speaking on behalf of folks for the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio, all my producers and everybody else involved, speaking on behalf of the folks that work with me on First Take as well, my heartfelt condolences to those who are losing their jobs at this time of year especially. And just know that we'll be here for you in any way that we can. We love a lot of people here. ESPN is not perfect. There's a whole, there are things that, like any other job, employees don't always agree with, that we have very, very little say about. But there's a hell of a lot worse places to work. That I can tell you. Even on a day like today, I can say that. As unfortunate as that may be, and I'm very, very sorry for those who are losing their jobs. It's hard walking through the hallways today. Let me just say that. It's very, very hard for myself and my producers who care very, very much about the people at this company to walk through the hallways today. Anything else, quite frankly, is just inappropriate to say. It's not our place. It's just the way it is. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-SAY-ESPN. Let's go back to the calls. Wendell in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, greetings, Stephen A. Man, I have to applaud you on your, acknowledgement of Eli Apple's mom because, there was a couple of weeks ago, there were some broadcasters that were so overzealous in attacking this man's character before they even knew why he was scratched from that game.
Right.
So thank you for that, my brother.
No problem.
And as far as Alonzo Ball, you know what? Let's just say it's going to be a teachable moment. Mm-hmm. And, also in this hype with Alonzo Ball, the one person that's being overlooked is Kuzma. That rookie is doing pretty well for the Lakers. He's pretty decent.
First of all, he's their best shooter. Secondly, he's their best rookie.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I didn't mean the best shooter, but he's their best rookie. And he plays with the level of aggression you want to see from a first-round pick.
Right, and Lonzo, I think the 2 words all season, also besides shooting, training room. You have to get your body physically. You're playing against fully developed men now.
I just wish Wendell that I could look at him and say, "All right, you need to bulk up. All right, you need to work on your shot." I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem is with me saying I got to work on you being aggressive. That really bothers me. That rubs me the wrong way. It just does.
But, Stephen A., I want to talk about your Giants. Organizational malpractice is one word that comes to mind with the Giants. Not only, and with Geno, good luck, with that putrid offensive line. And your head coach is just straight offensive. Your general manager has dropped the ball. And may I say, I want to talk about the team in Western New York, too. Because 2 weeks ago, they basically, for all intents and purposes, forfeited the game by sitting Tyrod Taylor down. You had a 5-4 record. You're in the playoff hunt. You're going to sit your best chance to win down. That didn't make any sense either. And as Herm would say, you play the game to win the game. Thanks for the time, my brother.
Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. Take it easy, man. Igor in Jersey, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, how you doing, Stephen A?
Right,
big time listener, big fan, man. Thank you for taking the call.
Thank you.
All right, so I want to make a comment about the Giants, right? So everybody's talking about how Eli's been played and all that. I'm a big time Giants fan. I've watched them for years. And I think personally they did him dirty, letting him go the way they did. But bigger than that is I think they let him go using McAdoo. That's why the GM and none of the O'Haras came out and said anything publicly. I think because McAdoo already has such a negative image with the fan base that using him to let go of our best franchise player, benching our best franchise player, that's the way to get everybody off the back of Jerry Reese and the owners. And also, it's a way to keep him healthy because of the offensive line that we have, and to put Geno Smith instead of the other backup. I forget his name. But anyways, to put him in is I think it's just a way to get the pressure off of Webb. You know what I mean? It's a way because Webb is not prepared to be a starter yet, so they're trying to just transition it into into Smith.
Well, let me ask you this question. Why not leave Eli in the lineup until you get Davis Webb the necessary reps and then put him in? Why not do that?
I don't see the reason with 5 games remaining, to put him in at the end of the season. There's no point, but it's going to happen eventually where they're going to have to bench him to give Webb some snaps.
All right.
So that's what I see. I think they used McAdoo because of his image with the media and everyone.
Yep.
They used him to announce to make the big move.
I'm with you. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much, Igor. 866-729-ESPN, 866-ESPN. Closing out the show with your calls in a minute. It's Stephen A. It's Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. By the way, I got to get my sleep, right? You know how important my...
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
A few minutes left right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's get right to it. 866-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Sobek. You're live in Jersey, from Jersey on Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Steve. How you doing, Stephen
All right,
A?
go ahead.
I appreciate your style on air. I just want to say real quick about the Eli benching. Okay, you may not like the way it happened, but the season was already done. So why would you risk him getting hurt? And for him to get up there and show like, oh, he's really offended, that's fine. That's the sports and the athletic
the offensive feelings come from Geno Smith being the guy that's plugged in instead of him.
Right. But then again, it doesn't matter. The season's over. Geno's not going to do that.
Well, it matters to him and to a two-time Super Bowl champion. If you're going to replace him, you replace him for a youth movement that you're clearly aiming towards, or you make sure that it's not for somebody who has proven to be disastrous. Now, some people would argue in favor of Geno Smith, like I saw Josina Anderson, NFL reporter extraordinaire for ESPN, doing on NFL Live this afternoon. That's fair enough, but she's a believer in giving Geno Smith a second chance. I'm one of those people, and I'm one of many who believes we've seen enough. He's a backup.
Got you. But even the backup, we can get some trade value for him. But I do wish the Giants well. I mean, I'm from Harlem. Did
you just say you believe they can get trade value for Geno Smith? Does those words come out of your mouth?
You never know. Yeah, they came out my mouth. They came out my mouth.
This is the NFL. What do you mean you never know? Do you realize you see starters in this league getting traded for nothing more than a second round pick?
True. You're right. You right.
Okay.
I mean, hey, listen. If we can get a half decent offensive lineman for him, I take that as a W.
Got it.
But that's all I want to say. But Lonzo Ball, he got to take his lumps. He's a rookie. If he don't get out of that passiveness, he's going to be washed up. I think
they're going to be light on him tonight. That's just my personal opinion. But I appreciate the call. Thanks a lot, Daryl in Cali. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, Daryl.
Hey, how you doing, Stephen A? Thanks for taking the call.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, I got a couple of comments I want to say.
Hurry up.
Lonzo Ball, he's a rookie. Everything's going to be okay. What's his name? I forgot his name.
Go ahead, just make it.
I forgot his name, but anyway, the Giants. It's not for long. It's a league not for long. I mean, I don't have no hard feelings about them cutting or not cutting, but what's his name? Eli Manning. I mean, I don't have no problem with him benching him. Like, The season's already done, like the previous caller said before. And, that's pretty much it. I mean, he's done. I think he's done.
And then you're individuals that are not paying attention to the ineptitude of the New York Giants. You can say what you want, but they're trying to make him the fall guy, and that's the problem. They're trying to make him the fall guy when everything around him has been pathetic. Why don't McAdoo bench himself and let the offensive coordinator, somebody else, take over the head coaching duties? He ain't going to do that, is he? How come Jerry Reese won't give up his job and let somebody else step in? He ain't going to give up that, is he? So why should the player be so apt to do that? You don't surround it with an offensive line, no running game, suspect receivers. Odell Beckham Jr. was your only player worth having this year. And look at where you are, even though I like Ingram as well at the tight end spot. We'll see. Appreciate the call. Eric, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, Stephen A. Listen, I want to know why you're making excuses for Eli Manning. So Eli has missed the playoffs the last 5 out of 6 years. So tell me what other quarterback would have that much. Tell me what other quarterback deserves the opportunity.
I can tell you several. You know who they are? Any quarterback without an offensive line and without a running game, and then who didn't have a defense until last year where they spent $200 million to get one. That's who.
Okay, but hear me out. Is it a possibility that the Giants are starting Geno so they can guarantee a top 3 draft pick for next year?
Well, they're saying they're starting Geno right now to give Webb time to get ready, and then they'll insert him. I'm saying you should have went straight from Eli to Webb, and I would have had no problem with it.
Is it a possibility that they're trying to just sabotage the rest of the season so they could guarantee a top 3 pick and possibly get a franchise quarterback with?
Well, if you want to sabotage the season, why not put Webb in now?
Good point.
Goodbye. Let's go to T. Joe. You're live with Stephen A. What's up? Talk to me. Mike, you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Mike?
Hey, man, real quick. Eli, I think they just handled it wrong. And then, like you said tonight, The Lakers are probably going to get blowed out. Golden State coming off a loss, and we'll just see how they do Lonzo. Hope he don't be out there too passive.
Well, here's the question. Do you think they're going to have mercy on him, or do you think they're going to go at him hardcore? You think they're going to go at Lonzo hardcore or have some mercy?
They're going to go at him, Stephen A.
You know what? I wouldn't put it past them to have mercy on him. I'm saying they're going to prioritize winning the game first. But I'm talking about them rubbing it in and really going after him. I don't think they're going to do that to the kid. I really don't.
Right. They got a little too much class for that. They're probably just going to, beat the team bad, but give him some mercy because he's going through too much right now.
I will say this, Mike. I hope his daddy don't show up to the game. I really don't. Because if he does, I think they're going to make it worse on him.
Well, let's hope he stay at home there, man, for Lonzo State.
All right, boss, I got to go. I appreciate it, man. Anand, you're live with Stephen A. You only got 30 seconds. Go ahead.
What I was saying is this could be a great tank job, what they're doing, to put Geno Smith in there, who's a terrible quarterback. Could lead to a plethora of picks.
Well, what I said, I don't know if it's going to be a plethora of picks, but more importantly, what I was asking is, if that's the mentality, why not just put Webb in?
Because he's better than Geno Smith.
Oh, I got it. That's
so
a good argument.
Let Geno Smith go in there and really muck it up.
I mean, listen. I mean, you know, who knows? I can't definitively rule that out. You might have a point. What can I say about it? Who knows? This is all just so sad. It really, really is. For something like this to happen to Eli. Class personified, has been thrown under the bus constantly. And I used to interview Jerry Reese and stuff like that. I mean, he's changed a little bit because obviously he's under immense pressure and everybody can't handle that, particularly when things are nosediving. I wish him nothing but the best, but I think that this move has sealed his fate and that of Ben McAdoo. I really, really do. 22 hours from now, I'll talk to y'all. Until then, peace and love. Stephen A. signing off.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.